So there's more discourse in the Star Wars community. Again, but this time it's about Thrawn, so let's cue that Star Wars Rebels intro. Hello everybody and welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back to discuss all of this Thrawn and Heir to the Empire drama that happened last month. I wasn't able to cover it because I was too busy working, and trust me, it was no fun. Now we're going to start with the earliest news, which I know was this Entertainment Weekly article. I don't know if it came out like a week or two ago. Talking about how he did not rewatch his scenes in Rebels to re-practice for the character of Thrawn, and everyone's up in arms about it, worried. It's Kathleen Kennedy's fault, I'm sure. So I have it pulled up. I want to read through these quotes and see if I can put together something that would cause for concern, which I doubt, but here we'll try it anyway. But of course, we'll do it in that nice, breaking news montage that they do. When asked, did you ever go back and watch the old Rebels episodes just to familiarize yourself with how you voiced him and played him before? Mikkelsen replied, "No, I didn't really. We needed to do something else, so I wanted to detach myself from that to create something new." Okay, right off the bat, I think that makes sense for a different reason, but I want to continue and read the rest of it because I've only seen that one part. No one's talking about the rest of this article. But if you continue reading, it actually, adds on to it where Mikkelsen says, well, you need to adapt to, it being live action. So there's certain things that you can do with the cartoon that you can't do in live action. You need to bring down or bring to another level. But in terms of the embodiment of the character itself, I feel like I had practice, for 5 or 6 years. Because even when we're voicing it in a box, we're still sort of doing it. Still making the moves in that box and doing that thing. I felt I had practice. And that's so true for a lot of animation voiceovers like that. You see a lot of videos, like my favorite thing is to go back and watch Mark Hamill when he's doing the Joker. He's doing crazy movements and people are throwing their hands around. They're getting into the character to give it some depth when you're watching it in a cartoon. So, he definitely has practice. Plus, we also got to think, we're talking about Thrawn that we saw in Rebels, which was, wait for it, 10 years ago now. That's crazy to think that, but a lot has changed since then, especially in universe, because there's going to be about a 10 to 15 year gap between when we saw him in Rebels and where we're going to see him now in Ahsoka. And I really do not understand the cause for concern with this, because this is a little well-known something we like to call character development. And I think this is tying back into something that Timothy Zahn himself said a few years ago when he came out with the Imperial Trilogy, which was Thrawn, Thrawn Alliances, and Thrawn Treason, where he was discussing the differences between making the canon and legend stories and how everything was going to work. And Timothy Zahn had said that he wrote the Imperial Trilogy with the idea that you could read those books and tie it into the Heir to the Empire trilogy seamlessly, which actually works. If you read those books, those 6 books, it plays as if it's the same character going across from start to finish. And then you can add the Ascendancy trilogy on top of that if you want more of his backstory. All of these books tie together, and I think that's the reason that we're getting all of these rumors that the Dave Filoni standalone movie is also going to be called Heir to the Empire, which we'll get to that too. So you gotta think, Thrawn does not take defeat lightly. The only way really to defeat him is to pretty much just do something completely random that he wouldn't expect. Enter the hyperspace whales. That's something that you wouldn't expect, so of course he'd be thrown off by that, but he's back now. Thrawn is back. He's in control. He's the heir to the Empire. We saw it in the trailer. And you gotta think how disorienting this must be for him to have this massive defeat. He comes back. The Empire is gone. The New Republic is in control. He's trying to take back all of the territory that the Empire used to have because the Empire is his way of defending his people in the Ascendancy from the Grisks. There's a lot going on in this character, so having him change in this 10 to 15 year gap makes perfect sense. I don't think they're going to change it in the way that we're like, oh, this isn't the Thrawn we know. I think it's going to go back to more of the Legends Thrawn that we had originally. And I say that because now it's going to be much more cold and calculating. Yeah, we saw a little bit of that in Rebels, but I think this is going to be more of the, no, I'm going to take the Empire to victory. We are going to rule everything that we had in Legends. Now that leads back into the other discourse that was going on, I think this was over a month ago at this point, about the rumor that the Dave Filoni movie was going to be called Heir to the Empire. Now, I don't know if it's true, if this is actually going to be called Heir to the Empire, but if it is, I think that's I think it's kind of irrelevant. The title's not going to do much. It could be called something completely different, but if it's still going to take on the Heir to the Empire trilogy that we had before, there's going to be an unstoppable amount of comparisons and no one's going to be happy. So I'm just going to lay that out right now. This is going to be a very controversial movie, probably more so than The Last Jedi, since it's going to deal with one of the most fan-favorite characters from the EU, of course being Thrawn. So it's going to be a bigger target. There's going to be a bigger audience for this to consume it, and it's going to get torn apart piece by piece. But I think from this, the most important thing to remember is that if this movie's truly called Heir to the Empire, it is not going to be Heir to the Empire. It's going to be two completely different things. It does not matter if it's the same title. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like the Heir to the Empire trilogy. I'm one of those people. Yes, I read all 3 books. It's okay. Now, of course, I understand it's still a crucial and important part of the expanded universe. It's the reason we're here today. But we have to take into account that when you read it back then, it was revolutionary. Me reading it a few years ago for the very first time, it was okay. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm not saying it shouldn't exist or anything. It wasn't for me. That being said, I think it's absolutely crucial that if you haven't read the Heir to the Empire trilogy, you do so before that movie comes out. So we've got plenty of time. We got at least probably, 5 years before that movie comes out. So take the time to read that trilogy so you're prepared before going into this. But I mean, really, is Lars Mikkelsen not watching some cartoons he did 10 years ago going to make or break this movie and the Ahsoka series? Not in the slightest. I do not understand how that's going to make or break this. Yes, we know Thrawn's a big deal. He has to be done just right. And I agree, because this is a very, very difficult character to do. But Lars did it perfectly in Rebels. I absolutely loved it. I see no reason to fear for what he's going to do with this live-action version. I think it's going to be more toward the Heir to the Empire version that we had before. Others say differently. Let us know your thoughts down below. Is all of this discourse around Thrawn really necessary? Is it going to cause mass panic? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below, and let me know what you think about Thrawn in general. But that's everything I have for this little tiny rant on Thrawn. Thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video, and we hope to see you again very soon.